So imagine walking into a room like a home theater, a corporate training center, or, a massive sanctuary, and your entire field of view is just completely dominated by a screen.
Yeah, a really massive one.
Right, exactly. We're talking about a 119-inch, 58 by 104-inch, perfectly flat rectangle of pure visual potential. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the product specs of the Draper 254204 Profile Plus fixed frame screen.
And, well, if you're looking at its $2,750 price tag, you might be wondering if you could just, paint your wall with high-def projector paint for 50 bucks instead.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out what actually justifies that premium cost over, standard commercial screens. You really have to look at the structural engineering behind the scenes here.
It really is a fascinating piece of architectural engineering. I mean, when you're dealing with a display that spans nearly 10 feet across in a 16.9 HDTV format, the physics of keeping that image perfectly flat are, well, they're incredibly complex.
Okay, let's unpack this because to really understand that high price tag, we have to look closely at the visual engineering.
Right.
The specs mention a mullionless design and a zero-edge borderless option. It makes me think of an infinity pool, but for video-like, the image just drops right off the edge.
That's a great way to picture it.
But I'm curious about the specific viewing surface, the matte white XT1000V with a 1.0 gain. Does that actually make this seamless illusion work?
What's fascinating here is how the fabric and the frame actively work together to create that illusion. So a 1.0 gain essentially means the screen reflects light evenly in all directions.
Oh, so no weird bright spots.
Exactly. You get no hot spots, making that infinity edge look perfectly uniform from literally any angle. But the real structural magic keeping it flat is the support system. They use these extruded aluminum baffles on all four sides.
Hold on. I mean, extruded aluminum baffle sounds a bit like marketing jargon to me. What is that actually doing?
Fair point. Extruded aluminum just means the metal is forced through a die to create a very specific, continuous, and incredibly rigid shape. Think of like pushing Play-Doh through a mold.
Okay. I can picture that.
Right. And this specific shape ensures the frame absolutely will not bow under the massive tension of the screen fabric.
Wow.
And because it's mullionless, meaning there are no thick outer frame dividers getting in the way, those rigid baffles allow you to place multiple screens right next to each other. You get absolute zero visual separation.
So you can just tile them to create an even more massive display.
Exactly.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting for anyone who has ever tried to, move a giant couch up a narrow staircase.
Oh, the classic pivot problem.
Right. An optically seamless 119-inch screen is incredible, but how do you actually get a rigid 10-foot wide object into a building?
Well, Draper solves this by shipping the whole thing entirely unassembled.
But wait, I'm stuck on this unassembled part. If I am paying nearly $3,000 for an optically perfect screen, the last thing I want is to be piecing together a massive jigsaw puzzle on the floor. I'd be terrified of putting wrinkles in the fabric.
I completely get that hesitation. But, I mean, imagine the alternative. Trying to maneuver a pre-assembled 10-foot rigid frame into a standard skyscraper elevator.
Yeah, that would be an absolute nightmare.
Exactly. So shipping it unassembled isn't a cost-cutting measure, it's just a sheer logistical necessity. And to make that on-site assembly foolproof, Draper uses a sliding hook and loop system.
How does that prevent the wrinkles, though? Like, am I fighting with 100 tiny snaps?
Not at all, and that's exactly why it works. Instead of fighting with snaps that require massive finger strength to stretch the canvas over a metal frame, the sliding system lets you loosely attach the screen first.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, then you simply slide the hooks along a channel to incrementally build perfect tension across the whole 10-foot span.
That is brilliant.
It is. And it mounts using standard wall brackets right out of the box. Although if you need to hang it from the ceiling, you do have to make a special request for flown brackets.
Good to know. So what does this all mean? Well, because this system is so uniquely engineered to be built and tensioned on site, it brings up a major caveat about buying commercial-grade tech.
It really does.
You better measure your wall very, very carefully before you add this to your cart, right?
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the specialized nature of the commercial AV industry means the purchasing rules are incredibly strict.
No prime shipping returns here.
Definitely not. The HDTV supply conditions state clearly that this is a special order item. Due to its customized nature, it is completely non-cancelable, non-returnable, and non-refundable.
Wow, so absolutely no buyer's remorse allowed. If it clashes with the room, too bad.
Exactly. You aren't buying an off-the-shelf consumer electronic. I mean, once the order is placed, they are preparing that extruded aluminum and cutting that specific matte white fabric precisely for your installation.
It really redefines what we think of as a screen,
It truly does.
which, brings up a wild thought to leave you with. With the rise of these mullionless, borderless screens that can be seamlessly linked together without any visual separation, how long until we stop hanging screens on our walls entirely?
That is a crazy thought.
Right. What if our walls simply become this screen? Next time you look at a blank wall, try to picture that massive 119-inch infinity pool of light taking over. It might be closer than we think.